In this video, you will hear a word cinnamon quite a few times. So this recipe is kind of the mix of different bun making recipes which I've done in the professional kitchen. So after running several tests and tweaking the recipe, I came up with my favorite recipe version, which I will share in this video. So let's roll the sleeves up and let's head to the kitchen. Let's begin by mixing the dough. Yeast goes first into the bowl with oat milk. Stir a bit to dissolve and then add the Poolish. So finally I decided to stick to 15% Poolish, which I made yesterday simply by mixing 50% flour and 50% water and tiny bit of yeast. Let it ferment for around 4 hours at room temperature or overnight in the fridge, and then a couple of hours outside next day. Both ways work well. Poolish method just proved buns to be lighter and fluffier. Then add flour mix, sugar and salt, a tiny bit of ground cinnamon, and then soft butter or margarine. Another option is to use melted and cooled vegan butter. With both options, I still like to work slowly in developing pliable dough, giving a rounds of mixing and resting. Mix slowly for roughly 2 minutes and then increase the speed and mix for another 7 minutes. Leave it to rest for 15 minutes. After resting, we can see that the gluten strands are pretty weak, so let's mix it for another 4 minutes in order to strengthen the dough. Leave the dough covered for roughly 5 minutes and let's come back to it for one more time. At this stage, the dough should not be very sticky and it should come out clean from the sides of the bowl. Now is the moment to take it out of the bowl, shape it into a ball. Don't work it too hard on the dough and don't press too much. Work very gently. Finally, put it in an oil-greased bowl and cover it with a plastic film. I like it to leave it outside just for a few minutes before putting it in the fridge. We can also make cinnamon syrup today. For these buns, I went for 1:1 syrup ratio, so when we make the syrup, we should not stir it too much or otherwise it will cause crystallization. Put sugar, water, cinnamon sticks into a pan and bring it to boil. Boil roughly for 2 minutes and then simmer for a bit longer. So before rolling the dough, let's first make the cinnamon butter. Make sure your butter is room temperature and then just mix everything together. Let's leave it aside for now and get our hands on the dough. So finally, have a look at this dough, puffy and soft. So while rolling this dough, it is important to have flour on the side as it sticks quite a bit. Try to get a rectangular shape, gently pressing the dough, but not excessively. So slowly rolling and turning till we get a thin sheet. Remember to relax the dough as it would bounce back slightly. Then spread cinnamon butter on 2/3 of the dough and fold it into 3 parts. Try to meet all the corners neatly and gently roll it down. I found this cutter at home which worked perfectly fine to slice the dough. So I take one strip, twist around my fingers and secure the end tip on the bottom. Make sure it seals well, as otherwise it will open while proofing. Keep putting flour on the surface as it definitely helps to shape the buns. The beauty of baking at home is that nothing goes wasted. I made buns even from smallest strips, which undoubtedly will be a tasting snack. Arrange pastries on the tray, and now it's time to turn your oven into a prover. Boil some water and pour it in a tin. Don't put pastry straight away, as we don't want to proof pastries in a higher temperature than 28. Ideally, we want 26 degrees Celsius. After baking, I brush the buns right away with the cinnamon syrup. It is up to you how much of the syrup you want to use. You can even sprinkle some sugar on top or even make a glaze. I'm so sorry, but I had to try one straight away. Another way that I really like is rolling the whole dough sheet into one log. So I roll the dough very gently and try to get a thin sheet. I spread cinnamon butter, but leave around 1 cm uncovered on the top and bottom. That simple little thing will make your life easier to roll your log evenly. Roll it tight, but handle the dough very gently. Prepare your muffin tin, spread some vegan butter, and if you wish, sprinkle some more sugar so you will caramelize the bottom. This amount of dough made exactly 20 even rolls. I also brush pastries with some oat milk, and as before with twisted buns, brush them with cinnamon syrup after baking. It is up to you how brown you want your pastries to be. I prefer not too brown. So that is what I meant about caramelized bottom. I think it's not too much and add additional flavors and a bit of texture. These buns are super airy and light. Let's remove them from the tin while they are still warm, otherwise it would stick too much. Shall we cut one? It happened that I made too many buns one day, so since I didn't want to bin them after so much effort in making them, alternatively, I made a cinnamon pudding. It would be super sad to throw them away, so it turned out to be a very quick and sustainable solution to reuse it. I wish I could describe the cinnamon aroma in my house. It smells like a cinnamon dream. I might sound a little bit maybe too enthusiastic about the cinnamon, but it really makes me happy as it brings me back to my childhood when mom was making buns and inviting to a table with a cup of tea. So I hope you find this video useful, and please, if you make it, please post the pictures to me and I would love to see it. Thank you so much for watching and see you next week.